Hi there, thank you for joining us here on the show. This is Prime Morning. It's Newsflash. You heard Koko Asante come through with fellow Ghanaians, and also the news on Newsflash returns again tomorrow here on the show. So do well and be a part of it. We say a big thank you to Frego Trading Enterprise still for his Papa Path here, and also Core Natural Fruit Juice. Kindest courtesy will bring you Newsflash here on Prime Morning. Please do well and grab yourself a Frego Trading Enterprise gadgets. If you need phone, if you need a condition, if you need a television, if you need a microwave, a blender, all the home appliances that you need, Frego Trading Enterprise is your best bet. Guaranteed quality and customer service is top notch, and that's what we're saying. And so please do well, get into the app, and you can get every detail that you need over there. Download the app on Google Play Store, and also visit our website. It's www.fregotrading.com, and you're good to go. You can call us on the numbers you see over there. Please do not call numbers on social media to do business with us. When you go on the app and then you also go on our website, you can find our numbers over there, and those are numbers that you can reach us on and do business with us. Frego Trading Enterprise says still folks Papa Pafi, and we're grateful to them this morning. And also Core Fruit Juice is what you need. Core Natural Fruit Juice is what you need. You want to discover the authentic taste of Ghana with Core Natural. Enjoy fresh taste from cocoa with the Core Natural, healthy juice made from the white pulp that surrounds the cocoa beans. Now, don't forget, this drink is here for you. It's for your family, your friends, and all the people that you care about. Naturally refreshing and stimulating every taste bad. Of course, Core Natural is probably Ghanaian. It's made right here in Ghana. It's good for you, and it's good for the cocoa farmer here in Ghana as well. So do well and get yours. Now, we're definitely going to get you an update on former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta immigration matter. Of course, yesterday he was put before the court. The case has been adjourned to April 17 as the former Finance Minister has challenges and actions taken against him following the revocation of his visa. And down here in Ghana, we also know pressure groups are protesting at the U.S. Embassy, and there is a renewed public debate here at home as well. But today, we assembly actually some of the fine legal drinks that you can actually find to discuss this issue and its socio-political impact on this nation. We're going to be looking at all of that here on the show. But before we get into it, don't forget that the 31st of January is just around the corner, and the NPP is looking forward to putting, before them who actually will put the party together, first of all, before elections 2028. And that same person would have to represent them in making sure that he's able to secure some victory for them. But how is this going to pan out? The whole thing is going to start from the 31st of December of this month, when we're able to find the person that will be leading the NPP to elections 2028. We're going to be looking at the standings, who has the potential of eventually leading the party. And I've got in the house this morning, Dr. Evans Duah is here with me, and he's a lecturer, he's a chartered accountant and researcher, and he's put together some very exciting, developments that we all want to know, especially those of us who are looking forward to that elections on the 31st of this month. So we'll be getting into that. But if I could do the newspapers before we move on that, or if we're ready, then maybe we can just go through. But okay, so let me walk through the papers this morning, and then Doc will take us through that as well. Now, the Accra Times is here this morning. It says the BOG boss to launch media recognition initiative. That's captured on the front page of the Accra Times. And minority MPs accuse Ablakwa over foreign policy posture. And CPDA assesses public perception of President Mohammed's first presidential conference, press conference. That's also captured on the front page of the Accra Times. And again, NPA boss louds store management for revamping operations. And Ambassador Victor Smith addresses concerns of citizens in the USA. That's captured by the Accra Times this morning. You can grab a copy and read all about it there. insight is here. And it says Gold Board in landmark refinery deal with Gold Coast and Rand refineries as Ghana moves towards gold value addition. And a petition for removal of SPC chair and deputies Care Ghana calls for speed, fairness in the judicial process. And we're talking about the OSP and the EC, their issue that have come up. And well, the president is waiting on the Chief Justice to proceed on that matter as well. So, Ghana needs 20 years of NPP opposition for real change, says A+. And Greenland on the chessboard of U.S. imperialism. And police arrest alleged gang leaders linked to Adabraka gold robbery. A smart port note to boost Ghana's security, trade efficiency, and economic sovereignty. New voter forum. And that's the insight. Away from that, Daily Justice here, and it says reshuffle looms. Lordina boy eyes defense. And Kennedy Agyapong declares war on Baumia. That's also captured on front page of Daily Gist. Saka Blakwa over U.S. visa restrictions. Minority says so. Former NPP aspirant caged for stabbing wife in the U.S. And RTI Commission summons Finance Minister over Article 71 as gratia payments. And Gold Board signs deal to refine the gold locally with Gold Coast Refinery. That's the Daily Gist for today. Away from that, a Ghanaian publisher, and it says Ghana signs historic gold refining deal, 1 ton of gold to be refined locally every week. And sack reckless and incompetent Ablakwa minority says so. IES backs NPA price floor policy. And away from that, the family alleges judicial misrepresentation in Nungwa land dispute. That's also captured by the Ghanaian publisher. And the very last one for me will be the new finder, and it says that bond market turnover hits 4.61 billion Ghana cedis. And Ghana's IMF program extension to August 2026 is technical, says IMF. Professor Ade urges banks to cut lending rates, and FNB urges developers to secure approved permits for construction loans. And that's also captured by the new finder at this point. That'll be all for the newspapers here on Newsflash. And once again, we say a big thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise, Still Phones, Papa Path, Koa Natural Fruit Juice, also supporting us as we bring you some details of our big conversations this morning. And we'll be looking at the NPP primaries, which is happening on the 31st of this month. And also we're looking at Kendo Furiate's case yesterday. And like I said, Doc is here with me, and so Doc is going to run us through some of the things that we need to know as far as the NPP Presidential Primaries is concerned. And Dr. Evans Duah is a lecturer, chartered accountant, and researcher. Doc, good morning. How are you doing?
Thank you much for having me, KMG.
Awesome. Awesome. Good to see you. And I see NPP Presidential Primaries. Now we've got a very few days to actually get to this. I don't know the anticipation and all of that around this. Maybe you can let us, by virtue of what we have here.
So basically, this is the NPP Presidential Primary, so it's happening on the 31st of January.
Yeah.
So actually what's going to happen is that we have 5 candidates, and these 5 candidates most of them are almost done with a tour nationwide.
Okay.
So this is a nationwide survey of all the 16 administrative regions, the 276 constituencies. And this time around, we did 40,188, which I'll show you.
Okay.
So, but there is a background to this. So this is scientific research.
Great.
So what we did with this is that we did our first one in August. That's August 2025. Then we did a second one, which we came out in October. And this last one is for the January 9th. So we started, this last one started from October 20th all the way to January 9th. And then we did the other 2 in August and the other one September and October. It is important that we understand the context for this primaries. So first and foremost, in 2023, there was the August 2023, which was a super delegate. And now with this super delegate, it was Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Alan Martin, and then Honorable Kennedy Agyapong with other people. And that competition led to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia being first, and Honorable Kennedy Agyapong being second, and Alan Martin being third. Then they went for the main primaries in November. So in November, when they went for the main primaries, almost all the polls around was giving about 80% for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, some 90%, 75%. In fact, nobody gave Honorable Kennedy Agyapong even 15% in 2023. Surprisingly, in November 2023, when the results were out, what we saw was that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had 61% and Honorable Kennedy Agyapong had 37%.
That's significant change.
Very
significant. What he had.
Exactly. So to understand that context, it means that for every 10 people you meet, 4 out of them voted for Honorable Kennedy Agyapong and 6 voted for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Okay.
So that means that it was a bit very close, considering that he joined the race just 10 months before the primaries. Now, fast forward, we move to 2024 general elections, and then it is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia against, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia against His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And then there's an election loss. It wasn't some 200,000 loss, 500,000, it wasn't a million, it wasn't 1.2, it was 1.67, almost 1.7 million. Now, the moment that happened, most of the delegates, they are political activists, they are political actors. What it means that they are literally politicians. And these are people that go and campaign. They represent the NPP at the polling station, at the constituency, at the region, at the national level, and even in the diaspora. So what happens is that when the loss happened, they started to look at what we call retrospective evaluation. So they began to ask questions of electability. Did we choose the right candidate for the 2024 elections? If the answer is yes, then they move on to the next question. Should we have chosen this candidate? And if the answer is yes, then they begin to ask, 2028, can we file the same candidate for it? If it's yes, then Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is okay to go. But if the answer is no and the other doubts, then they move on to who are the other alternatives or the options that we have. And from 2023, it was Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. So it was a 2-horse race. Now we move to 2025, moving to 2026, and then 3 more people add to it. So we have Dr. Brian Achampong, we have Dr. Yao Sedichum, and Engineer Kwabena Agyapong. So now they narrow the options and they begin to think, if it's not Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who next? Or do we maintain Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? So that's what is going through their head. But then all the 5 begin to tour the constituencies. They begin to tour the country. So this engagement translation is where they begin now to understand their message, the dynamics involved, and they begin to firm up on their decisions, whether they are voting for candidate A or for candidate B. Then eventually they consolidate their decision and say that, okay, we think this candidate will do for us or the other candidate. But by the last stage, they have actually gone beyond, so low undecided share. At this point, just a few people are undecided.
Okay.
So based on our report, about 96.6 people have already decided. For the 31st.
That's
so
a lot.
Their mind already made up. And there is little that would change for these people as at this stage.
Okay, can we get the slides up, please? Yeah.
Okay. So this is just for the sample that we used. So the first one we did in August, we did 20,000, it was about 10%. Then in September, October, moved to 26,000, it was about 12%. And now we did 20%, which is 40,988. Now it is important to understand the scope. We used the 204,893, which is a verified voters for 2023.
Okay.
Now, 2023, the delegates who voted are the same delegates who are voting in 2026. The only change is that there have been some additions to it. Some former appointees, former executives have all been added. And then so this time around, the only problem is that when they first brought that first album, it rose all the way to 215,000. Out of the 215,000, there were some people who were no more. May their soul rest in peace, so they were removed from the album. Some people were also disputable, so they were also removed. So we moved to 212, 211. And for us, we could not sample an album where people they keep removing people from it. So we decided to stick with the base 204. So that's what we worked with. And that is the scope so that we define our biases and the scope that we worked with. So it happens that with 40,988, 9,432 were unreachable or unavailable. Unreachable simply means that the number that we had either was wrong, the phone was off, and that person couldn't be contacted, though we sampled that person.
Right.
Unavailable means we got the person on the phone. Unfortunately, the person could not engage us or was busy, unwilling.
The line drop or
something like that. So we got 31,556 actively participating in the survey. So if you look at it, what we also did for the last one was to follow the scheduling and the itinerary of the candidates. So we grouped the 16 regions in 4 blocks. So when we're starting October 20th, if you check Bono East, Ahafo, Western, at least the 3 leading candidates had visited those places. And that's how come we started from there. So we grouped them in a way that region we are going to interview or interrogate them, majority of the candidates have already been there. So that the decisions of the delegates they are telling us is already firmed up. That we know that so we did Bono East, Ahafo, Western North. They'll move to Central, Western Volta, Noti. They'll move to Northern, Northeast, Upper West, Upper East, and then Savannah. Then the last one is Greater Accra, Eastern, and then Ashanti region. Now, we have just a simple 2-model scenario. So we have the worst case scenario, we have the best case scenario. So the worst case scenario is a raw data. I will choose candidate A, I'll choose candidate B, just as it is. I'm not sure who I'm voting for. The person is placed under undecided. I know who I'm voting for, but I can't disclose that to you. So that one is undisclosed. Now, this is the results for the worst case and then the best case at the national level.
And this is out already?
This is out already.
Okay.
So we've actually, anyone from all, actually for now, I can say all the 5 candidates, members of their camp have contacted me. I've released a report to all of them. So anybody who's actually...
We'll look at, after the release, what conversations ensued, but
exactly.
let's walk through.
So in the worst case scenario, we are looking at Honorable Kennedy Agyapong doing a 47.07%, and in his best case scenario, he's doing 52.59%.
Ultimately, the one leading.
The one leading for this. And it's been the same case since August all the way to January.
Wow.
And then Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia at 35.93%, and in his best case scenario, he's doing 36.24%. And
that's quite a margin.
That's quite a margin. So in fact, in this report, what we are saying is that if any of these 5 candidates will cross a 50+1, then it is only Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. Yes, and this is based on the report as of January 9th. So as of January 9th, if any of them will cross, then he's the only one. Because none of them is crossing in the best case scenario.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the figures that they have here, it is not possible.
So we have this one where we look at the 3-wave that we did. So if you look at it carefully, in the worst case scenario, when we started in August, the first, so we've done 3 surveys.
Yeah.
So he was at 41.73%, and then he increased to 44.11%, and then 47.07%. So you can see that he's actually...
The trajectory.
Exactly. It's steady, and he's consolidating it. Then DMD on that is doing 39.09, then he increased slightly to 39.51 and dropped to 35.9.
What could have contributed to that?
So what is actually happening is that he is the main figure because he was a flag bearer.
Exactly.
And what is happening is that he contested against Honorable Kennedy Agyapong here, and then Dr. Brian Agyapong was with him. And now he is now standing alone. Dr. Yaseduchum was with him, and he is also on his own. And then Engineer Kennedy Agyapong, who was not naturally with him, joined him for the general elections. So what is happening is that if you pick, for example, Eastern region, Dr. Brian Agyapong, the votes that he's gaining, based on the data that we have, 85% of the votes he's gaining, for example, in Eastern region, he's taking them away from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and 15% from Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. So
which is his base, by the way.
Exactly.
His base.
Exactly. So these are some of the dynamics that are happening. So if you look at the case here, so Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, 51.49 in August, moved to 53.80, then now at 52.59. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had a very low best case scenario, and now he's at 36.24, and the same. So Dr. Brian Agyapong started very well, he dropped, and he has recovered. And for the rest, it looks quite marginal on that side.
All right, guys, can we get this slide up? The next one. Okay, so there's this part that you said is dominant and stable. It means that what? His chances?
Yeah, so he's very stable because when he started at a certain pace and gathered the momentum, and he's remained around that same range. So he's been rising.
So all things being equal.
All things being equal, yes. And the reason, as we wait, the reason why we need to understand this is that Greater Accra, Ashanti region, Eastern region, Central region, Western region, and Volta region, these 6 regions out of the 10, they account for about 69% of the delegate population. And in the previous elections, he won 2 out of them. He won Central, he won Volta. So 2 out of 6.
Yeah.
And then Greater Accra, he came so close. In fact, in nominal values, it was 17,200 against 19,002. It's almost very, very close. And this was the time where we had His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, an executive presidency, and then with that executive presidency, where he stands normally is where majority of his appointees will be. So if you look at how keen that competition was, so just central voter and doing very well in Greater Accra, he got 37%. Now looking at the current situation, he is going to win Greater Accra this time. He's flipped it. He's going to, Ashanti is keenly contested, very keenly contested. That's why I wanted us to get to.
Can we try again and see?
Okay, yes. So these are just for, so there's some of the
regional results that we had.
But let's look at the percentages here so that will be easier for people. Okay, so if you look at the leaders and vote shares per region, if you pick Ashanti region currently, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong is leading at 44.03%. But his highest he can do is 49.89%. Ashanti is keenly contested that we, based on the data, think none of them will cross 50% in the Ashanti region. And it's still anybody's game, just that he has an edge. His support base is very firm. They hardly change, they hardly shake. But
that's a good one.
No, that's a good one. So I sometimes compare him to the Shattawale fan base.
Yeah.
They are very unflinching, loyal to him. Now, if you move to Ahafo, he's 45.99 and 51.75. That looks quite good for him. Bono, 48.42, 54. That still looks very... And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for Bono East, in our first one, he was leading. In the second, he's still leading. In the third, he's still leading. But he's closely monitored. That is how come it flips in the best case. Because most of the undecided, according to our research, about 87% of the undecided people are for Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, and 6% for Dr. Brian Agyapong, 5% for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So that means that when he's moving to the best case scenario, if the undecided, undisclosed are wide, he can easily flip it. That's what is happening. Then Central Region, even in 2023, he won, and they are still staying with him.
Eastern, that's a good one too. 66.
So Eastern Region, in August, Dr. Brian Agyapong was leading. Then when we moved to October, there was a flip where Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia started gaining votes. And then Honorable Kennedy Agyapong started leading. So this is what is happening. Let's assume that, so if you look at the numbers, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong is doing about 8,000, whilst Dr. Brian Agyapong is doing about 6,000, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia about 3,000. So what is happening is that if you were to take only Honorable Kennedy Agyapong and only Dr. Brian Agyapong in Eastern Region, in that case, it will be difficult for him to beat him, in that case. If you are to take him alone against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in that case, it will be difficult for him to beat. But as Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Dr. Brian Agyapong are competing for almost the same votes, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong will move. Exactly, that's what is happening there. Then you have Greater Accra, and for Greater Accra, I think almost the candidates, most of them already are aware what's happening. And Greater Accra, he's leading at 51.83, and he can go all the way to 56. So that place is very emphatic. Northeast is actually the most emphatic one. So Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has a very strong home base, but there is a trick here. The Northeast is actually not more than 3,500. In fact, it's 3,408. So it's not even up to 10% of Ashanti region. It's not up to 10% of Greater Accra region. So even if he wins 100%, even in Northeast,
to come back to consolidate that with the other.
Exactly. Just a little difference of 4,000 in any of those regions will just cancel it. These are the numbers game people need to understand, so that when they understand that these data is very, that's how come he won only 2 regions and got 37% because of the population density within some of these places. So Northern region, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Oti region, but because of the level of undecided and undisclosed, it can be flipped in the best case scenario. Savannah, the same thing. Upper East was a surprise for us in January, because in August, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was leading. In October, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was leading. But in January, it has flipped to Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. And that is a surprise for us, because based on the trend analysis, we didn't see this in Upper East. That's a Boko. So Mampusi, that area, yes. And then we have the Upper West, where 48.7, so that one is still staying with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Then Volta was with Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, and then Western Region, and then Western North. So these are the dynamics. Once you understand the data and what happened in 2023, when you see these dynamics, it can tell you naturally the order of the 5 candidates is as credible as you can imagine, because these are pure data, which if you do any research, you see it.
Okay.
So these are just, so for a pictorial view, this is what is happening. You see that the whole of this middle belt and southern part, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong in red. So we have in Bruno Ahafo, you're having Ahafo, Western North, Western Central, Greater Accra, Volta, Eastern Ashanti. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is doing Bruno East, he's doing OT, he's doing Savannah, Northern, Northeast, and Upper West. And the surprise, like I mentioned, is Upper East.
I mean, that Upper East.
But remember, for research, it's not what I think or what the researchers we think. Is actually what the people are saying and what has happened within. That's how come we did that 3-wave, so that we'll be able to check the evolution of the decision of these delegates. So basically,
and it's quite a representation of where both of them actually stand for. I mean, I was hoping that maybe somewhere along the Eastern region of Volta, Dr. Bawumia.
The Eastern is keenly competed, but you know there are some factors and dynamics in this election. You have Dr. Brian Agyapong, who has become a very good third force among the 2 horse races.
That's true.
And that is stronghold is coming from Eastern region. Now, in 2023, we had His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo fully showing support for his long-time running mate and vice president. But in 2026, he's decided to stay away from any of the candidates. Now, it tells you that loyalty in Eastern region, that's how come you see some of his loyalists following Dr. Brian Agyapong, Honorable Kennedy, So now everybody is free. And that is what has also happened in places like Ashanti and other places. So it's now an open market. So it gives every candidate a chance. And that chance is that the people are listening to the message of the candidate. They are watching the personality of the candidate and the people who are surrounding the candidate. My advice for all the 5 candidates, based on this research we've done, is that the NPP needs unity. The NPP needs to come together. The NPP can never beat the NDC divided. They have to come together united. That's the only way they stand a chance to beat the NDC in 2028. All the candidates should be willing to accept the results. Nobody should try any funny thing on that day. It should be peaceful and make sure that the delegate's voice is actually what is counted, so their ballots are counted and nothing else is happening. My advice to their followers is that unnecessary propaganda is becoming nauseating for most of the delegates and also for even the Ghanaian population. Propaganda make people think that there is an agenda. It doesn't really help. So people should just focus on the message, focus on how they project their candidate, and they shouldn't waste too much time because there is actually, so this is just a battle. There is a war after the battle, and that's what they have to focus on.
In terms of messaging, how significant is the message each candidate is putting across to this results that we have?
So we did not fully measure that one. So as a researcher, you have to tell what you didn't do, but what you've discovered. So I don't have the measurements, but we have a discovery that we can tell based on what we heard from them. So if you look at the message, for example, from Engineer Kennedy Agyapong, he is basically talking about the fact that there is a history to this party, and this party, we are coming from a certain angle. So let's stick to our roots. Let's go back to our roots. Let's ensure that we are focusing on what the party stands for. Dr. Yaosei Duchum, on the other side, is telling people what he did with his education ministry, what he's done with education ministry, and he thinks that he'll be the one to unify most of the people. When you move to Dr. Brian Agyapong, his is very simple. If the 2 lead contestants were able to score goals, I mean, some of the words he said, he wouldn't be coming from defense to become a striker. So he thinks that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia did not deliver. That is his word. And he thinks that both of them in age or something, and he's a young person, vibrant. And then he's telling the people that he would be able to do better than them. If he thinks that both of them, then that's where he's coming from. Then you move to Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. He's talking about jobs, he's talking about industrialization, he's talking about the welfare of the delegates. These are the main things. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is also talking about the fact that consistency is key. He's been presented once, they should give him another chance for him to go, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the dynamics that are actually going.
We've got a few weeks to go. By the margin of hope.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and I want to look at it from the prediction aspect of it in terms of what other people have also said. There have been prophecies and all of those also involved, one way or the other. I don't know what will make any of this change.
So for now, if we are to go by this research and the data we have, because of the margin of error, which we're looking at plus or minus 0.5% at a 95% confidence level, what would actually happen is that about 95% of what we are seeing in this research is actually likely to happen. So if you look at the margins, we doubt that the order will change. In other words, who is number one in this report is likely to be number one. Who is number two is likely to be number two. Who is number three is likely to be number three. Who is number four is like. So that's how the order would. Where there will be some margins, there will be some changes. Some can rise above our last one, because that's why we did a three-wave. If you realize, none of them was constant. So there will be some margins. But in terms of order, from August to October to January, we have not seen the order change. And that is what is...
And not even prophecy can change that?
Prophecy as a stance, I'm a Christian. I believe in prophecies. But, you know, there is also that part where God can even cause a lying spirit to deceive someone, even a true prophet, so that a prophet can be misguided. It's possible. So there, I don't want to quote the 400 prophets and all that, but there was 400 prophets who kept deceiving the king. Okay, so it's possible that you can have majority saying something which is not it. So I always say that we just have to wait from now to 31st. As long as God gives us life, will come, and then we'll see what will happen. But if you ask me, not based on any emotions, intuition, based on data, scientific, the order wouldn't change as far as we see it. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that there's war after
this battle.
After this battle, which obviously we all understand, because 2028 is a different conversation altogether. Now, there have been people who have also, as it were, talked about eventually if one person becomes the winner, or whoever that picks up that nod, would have to face that 2028, spectacle, if you want. How is that person's chances? I don't know if by extension we've been able to, work this report to that limit, but what's the person's chances if that person gets the nod?
So, personally, if you look at the chances of the New Patriotic Party, the 2028 elections would not be voted on the grounds of even economy. It wouldn't. Because you see, when anybody who understands economics, whenever Donald Trump is in power, gold will keep appreciating. The dollar, naturally, so I'm a financial economist, by the way.
Right.
So the dollar, what happens to the dollar is simple. Donald Trump will not want the dollar to be appreciating. So what it means is that we are going to have a weak dollar, a strong gold. And what it means is that any other currency can also do well within that period. Okay. So as a matter of fact...
And that's a strategy he uses?
That's a strategy.
It's something that unconsciously happens?
He's using that to weaken China, literally.
Okay.
Because China needs the dollar to appreciate, because they are mostly exporting. When there is a stronger dollar, China will become powerful.
Okay.
A weak dollar for Donald Trump means that China is kept at base. And these are some of the dynamics. So the current government has done well consolidating some of the fundamentals that started or initiated by the NPP. So the economy, I don't see much happening there. What is going to happen in 2028 is that the NPP is finding themselves 3 years ahead of time. It's an early Congress. The NDC will go for Congress 2027 or even in 2028. And this 2027, 2028 might be their first major battle.
So the transition, if you want.
Yes, because they've gone through a lot of transitions, and it's been, for the past 6 years, it's been like His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for a long time. This is when they actually...
from that to another...
So how they also handle that battle would impact. And it will be too early, like we did with the August, to be able to predict what will happen in 2028. So when the time is up, we'll do a study and we'll bring it. around that time.
All right, if you just join us here on the show, this is Newsflash, and Dr. Duah is here with us. He's a lecturer, chartered accountant, and also a researcher, and he's done a very, scientific research that we are analyzing here as far as the primaries for the NPP is concerned. And if you joined us earlier, I'm sure you've seen what the chances are looking like for Dr. Bawumia, Kennedy Agyapong, Kennedy Agyapong, and Dr. Yosei Adichum as well. And that's the conversation we're having here. You can also send us your messages and let us know what you think. We've got a few weeks to do this, and so let us know what you think. Who do you think scientifically is going to be able to pick the nod for the NPP? Now, some I don't know if this plays a role over here. Fear delegates,
yes,
has always been something that we've said during election times and all of that. How these people are able to, even on the day of voting, swing based on whatever influence that is given to them at what point in time. Does that also play a role?
Yes.
In this?
And
how's the dynamics like?
It actually has a major role. What will happen between now to the D-Day has an impact. It would affect the margins. But what happens on the D-Day if vigilance is not done, certain actions are not put in place? So there's this thing that I normally say, and I think it's important. I put that one up here, the last page. This is what I always say. So numbers tell us who is ahead, but it is strategy that decides who stays ahead. So you can have the numbers telling that you're in the lead, you're doing well, or you're not doing well. But it's a strategy from now to the D-Day. And one of the strategies they shouldn't waste their time is doing a propaganda against another delegate, another candidate.
It doesn't help.
What is happening is that, what is there, for example, the two-horse race? What is there about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia personality that people don't know already? What is there about Honorable Kennedy Agyapong that people don't know already? Whatever is about these two people, they've been in the faces of people for a long time. Personality, character, people know them. So minds are made up. So the focus should not be a propaganda against any of these.
It brings disaffection.
It doesn't
if you try.
Because the moment you do that, so for me, what I normally do, I check comment sections when things are posted. I just go to the comment sections, then I check. The moment you see the propaganda is not working, just check the comment section. And people should be advised. The strategy you need. So, for example, this research, it proved a lot of things to us. Most people are doing social media, so what we call cosmetic campaign. They are showing off as if they are working, but on the grounds, they are not working. And that is dangerous. That is very dangerous. And then there is a smear campaign where you want to dirty another candidate. You want to dirty. It doesn't really work at this time.
But it used to be the case sometime
that
years
would work 3 months before the election, 6 months before. What didn't happen to someone like Bill Clinton? Okay, so a time comes that you bring in a case. You need some 9 months to run that story. But you have just some few days to go until there is a major something that humanly, I don't know. But at this stage, that wouldn't work. What people need to know and people need to do now is that, of course, I will not come and share free consultancy on television. I'm a consultant, so I'll look. So we've done the research, but what I'm focusing on from now is pure strategy. And the strategy is to monitor what they are doing and then measure it. So in fact, there is 2 parts of this research which we don't publish. We measured intentionally, we tried to measure the impact of the tour that they did and to be able to identify an index per every candidate. What was the performance of this candidate when it got to this region, when it got to this place, so that we'll be able to check how they are performing. Then we also gather intelligence. The thing about interviewing the delegates is that you're supposed to ask them simple questions. Who did you vote for in 2023? Who would you vote for in 2026? But they end up telling you more than you. and we are, for quality assurance purposes, we have to record 20% of the interrogations so that other supervisors will now check with what our researchers are inputting. And this is for quality assurance. Because I, for example, doing the data analysis, doing the report and everything as the lead researcher, what they are inputting is garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't have a quality assurance system in place, that will ensure that what the researchers are inputting is what it is. You yourself will be found wanting because they will put in wrong data. So what we do is that we have some senior lecturers and senior fellows who pick the audios, they listen. So you check this delegate's name, you listen to the audio, You check that the researcher has done the inputting that matches with it. So the last time I even brought my laptop here. I can show them to you afterwards. So I can show you the sample for that constituency.
Okay.
Then pick randomly one of them. If we have the audio for that person, I'll just play it for you because we do 20%, so it's not everybody. And this recording, because of ethical reasons, we can't share it. But I can let you see what we did. I can let you listen to what we did, and that's how.
Okay. Let's talk about getting closer. What is possibly, going to happen in terms of change and all that. I don't know whether the research went into opinion leaders and their contribution to maybe a change in what candidates people prefer.
So if you are in power, you have a lot of leverage. You have finances, you have appointments, you have networking, so you have leverage.
Yeah.
Something you can use to even bait people, something you can use to convince people. But when you are in opposition, you don't have that power. You don't have that leverage. So what happens is that we are having, if you look at the composition of the constituency, we have the member of parliament, you have the council of elders, council of patrons, you have the executives for that constituency. They have what are called the electoral area coordinators. Then you move to the polling station executives. In this composition, on the average, about 5.5% are at the top, and 94.5% are at the grassroots. So what is happening is that you're having majority being grassroots delegates. I mean, people who are on the ground, and you have a few who are at the top. Now, this is what happens. When I remember I said they are political actors, the delegates. So these are not ordinary citizens. These are politicians. They are representing the New Patriotic Party from the polling station to the constituency and so on. So what is happening is that they have what we call political memory. They have seen things from the past. So when you speak to them, they would now look at what have you done in the past for them to believe what you are saying now. So if you pick the top, how they handle the grassroots is what will give them that leverage over them. So if you are at the top and you handle them very well, when you ask them to toe your line, to go with you, then you have that level of influence. But if there is this thing where we say it's in tree editija, where people feel that some few people enjoy it, the rest did not, then your influence become a bit not as powerful as it would be. So if you ask me, I think at this point, there is not so much that endorsements will do. The endorsements were good somewhere in July, in August, to start the momentum. At this stage, it wouldn't make any impact because almost any person you see within the New Patriotic Party, it will be very, people prefer to abstain from the competition. They want to stay out of the competition. But to find people who are totally neutral, that is a difficult one to find. So eventually, what has to be done, I think they should focus on the grassroots, they should focus on telling their message, and then they should let them know what they will do for them, to do for the party, for the country. And they should be careful who surrounds them. I think one of the candidates put it in a perfect way. He's saying that if you have a problem with someone in my camp, don't bring that problem you have with that person against me. Because that candidate knows the impact of the people surrounding you and what that can affect you. So I advise that people should learn to call their team to order when they have to. They have to support them when they have to. But at this point, job day grounds. That's the whole thing.
Job day grounds, and that's Dr. Evans Duah. We're wrapping up this very part of the conversation, but I'm sure that you've been able to also make a decision based on what scientifically you've seen. Whatever it is, 31st January will come. We'll definitely make that vote happen, and whoever emerges the winner will definitely be the one that we're hoping that will lead the party moving into 2028. And so, yes, we'll be reading some of your comments. But Doc, before we go, any other thing you want to say in terms of your outfit as well? You know, how people can, if people want to ask more questions, how they can contact you and all that.
So basically, I think you can LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. So LinkedIn, Dr. Evans Duah with this, and then my other titles. On Facebook, I have 2 accounts. So I have Dr. Evans Duah like this on Facebook, but that one is my international page. So I have about 287,000 followers. I don't do anything there. I have my personal page, which is Evans Duah. That's about 9,000 followers. That one is where you contact me for this.
Okay.
So if you want to contact me on things related to politics and research, you go to the one without the title, Evans Duah. If you want to do international, so I sit on some advisory board in Europe, in US and stuff. I do a lot of international consultancy. So that one, you can reach out on Dr. Evans Duah. TikTok too, I'm there with Dr. Evans Duah, and I have this the Duah that you can also. So basically, you can reach out to me. And we do a lot of intelligence. We do a lot of, so we help with business plans. We help with strategic plans. So I'm a chartered accountant.
Yep.
So we focus on numbers too. So anything you think we can do. So I have actually Extat Biz Limited, which is a consultancy. We also have other things related to, in terms of trainings. So I do a lot of training. So I've done works for MasterCard, World Bank, and a lot of consultancy works on that side, yeah.
Okay, all right. So if I'm not taking anything from all the things Doc has said at all, then the one thing that will stick with me is this: numbers tell us who is ahead. Strategy decides who stays ahead. And I'm sure if you belong to any of the camp, you know, in terms of who we're going to vote for and all of that, this should be something that you should be thinking about.